Hi, I'm Melissa Spurka, and I'm the winner of the 2011 Just a Pinch Flower Power Contest.
Today, what we're here for is to celebrate Miss Melissa Spurka. She was the Flower Power contest winner for her awesome caramel, chocolate, and almond gooey butter cake. I just call it gooey goodness because it's a mouthful. Melissa, if you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and how you joined the club and everything.
Okay. Well, I'm a wife and mother. I have 2 little boys at home that love to be taste testers for Mama. And I joined the club. I actually found Just a Pinch on Facebook last year, and I joined the club in August and immediately began posting some dishes that I thought perhaps would be, of interest to others. And being a blogger already, I'd already posted some of those recipes on my blog. And I was happy to share them with another group of people that perhaps would enjoy them. So that's really how I came to Just a Pinch.
The Flower Power, let me just tell you a little bit about that. The contest is based on the flavor, presentation, the ease of preparation, and you win fabulous prizes. You get limousine service, the awesome $1,000 shopping spree here at the Viking store. You also get Grand Ole Opry tickets. I won the grill and win the last time, so we got to come up here and go to the Grand Ole Opry, and I'll tell you what, it's an experience. How many of you all here are Just a Pinch members? Wow. That's great. And Just a Pinch has over 340,000 members. The blue ribbons, Melissa, this is her second blue ribbon for this recipe. Her first was for her nestled potatoes. In fact, I was at home in Virginia for Thanksgiving and I made that recipe.
Oh, yeah.
And for brunch, and it was a huge success with my family. So right now what we're going to do is we're going to get the demo started.
Okay.
And Melissa, if you can go right on and take care of that.
Okay. Has anyone here ever made a gooey butter cake before of any flavor? Susan has.
I made yours for this.
You did, yes, you posted a picture. You did a great job too. Well, before I get started, I actually developed this recipe about 2 years ago. And when I developed this recipe, I didn't even know about Just a Pinch, and I certainly didn't have a competition on my mind. The only thing that was on my mind were this flavor combination. We love caramel and chocolate, who doesn't, and almonds, or if you want to mix it up with another nut, you certainly could. But that was the only thing on my mind, and I can't believe I'm standing before you today as a winner with this cake that I made just for fun. So it's very, very simple. Gooey butter cakes, just a little history on this particular kind of cake, originated in St. Louis, Missouri in the early 1930s. And through the years, it's been named other things. For example, when I was a little girl, it would show up at every church dinner. I love all these little church ladies. They're the best cooks in the world. And they would show up at every church dinner, and it would sometimes be called chess bars. Has anyone ever had chess bars? Sometimes it would be called gooey chess cake, but it was all ooey gooey great. And so that's really the history of this cake, and I kind of love taking something that's really, I would call this classic, and bringing it forward using this delightful product, Dolce de Leche, which is so fancy. It's caramel. It's a very thick caramel, and no, I've never worked at Dairy Queen, but you have to dig this out. I know I had a lot of comments, and should I get going while I'm talking? Yeah. Okay, I had a lot of comments on the website regarding where to find the Dolce de Leche, because honestly, you must find this product. It's what sets this cake apart. You could substitute things, of course, but there's just no substitute. If you want this cake, you must find the Dolce de Leche. I had a couple of people ask me if they could use an ice cream topping. And I've never done that, so I can't speak directly to that. But if it were an ice cream topping that was that thick, it probably would work for you in a pinch. but it's typically available in the Hispanic food section in the grocery stores around where I live. So look for it if you can, because I was telling them earlier that a couple of members actually told me that they were going to look for the item and that they may have to use sweetened condensed milk in its place. I wouldn't recommend that. Try to find the dulce de leche so that you can enjoy this cake the way it's meant to be. Now I know this is earth-shattering, but I just sprayed the pan with cooking spray so that we could press our mixture into the bottom of it. And I'm going to get the mixture going. This is so simple. I'm telling you, anyone can make this cake.
You mean anyone?
Anyone can make this cake.
I am
Yes,
not a baker. Okay.
anyone. And it starts out with a caramel cake mix. The bottom layer we're going to prepare first, and it's a caramel cake mix and a stick of melted butter and 1 egg, Janet. They've got my eggs in the fridge, I think. Here's your egg. I'm doing what you probably should never do, right? I'm cracking it over the bowl.
Do you recommend room temperature eggs or right out the fridge? It doesn't matter?
For this particular thing, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
May I grab this?
Sure.
It doesn't really matter. I know some bakers are finicky about that sort of thing, but it doesn't really matter. There we go, Janet. I'll get this before it's over. All right. So you're just going to drizzle your 1 stick of melted butter into your caramel cake mix with your 1 beaten egg. This just takes a couple of minutes. And you know, people always want me to give them the exact time it takes. You know, logic has to come in somewhere when you're cooking, and you can tell when it's come together. And when it's come together and fully combined, which you certainly want it to be, that's when you're going to press it into the bottom of the pan. It's coming together beautifully. It just needs a couple of more seconds. You want to make sure, and you can you smell the caramel? Yeah. You're beginning the ooey gooey goodness already. All right. Good job. So this is going to go into the bottom of your pan. And you know, any gooey butter cake you make, this is how they start out. They start out with a cake mix layer in the bottom. You can make any, you know, it's only limited by your imagination when it comes to these types of cakes. And my imagination went a little bit wild on this one. But I'm going to press this in, and you know, you're going to want to press it evenly because you want your cake to bake evenly. So you're going, yes, you can just put that, you actually don't need to switch it out for the filling. That's actually, I'm glad you asked that. When you don't even have to wash the bowl in between making your 2 layers. Well, this one has 3 actually, which is not typical of a gooey butter cake. I like that little surprise middle layer that I put in this one, and whenever I usually don't tell people it's in there. They just have to figure out where it is, and they take their first bite and they get that surprise crunch in the middle, and they're like, ooh, I like this. Okay, so we've got our first layer pressed into the bottom of the pan, and this is what I like to call my secret layer. I use 1/3 cup of chocolate chips, 1/3 cup of toasted almonds, which, by the way, if you were making this cake at home, you would do this first. You would toast off your almonds in the oven for about 6-7 minutes. Some people do them in a pan on top of the stove. I find it's just as easy to put them on a pan and put them in the oven. But as you know, nuts can go crazy real quick. They can go over the top real quick when you're trying to toast them. So keep an eye on them. I usually recommend 6 to 8 minutes because oven temperatures vary. So, but this is where I just start sprinkling these evenly over the crust. And again, this is what I call my secret ingredient in this, or my secret layer. 1/3 cup of mini chocolate chips. And you know what? If you want to put 1/2 cup, it's perfectly fine. It won't do. You know, you can't have too many chocolate chips at my house. So, you know, 1/3 cup will be fine. And in this particular instance, you know, when you're baking, as you all know, it's science. So you have to do things in a particular way. It doesn't matter with this layer, though. It won't change the texture of it. But I don't dare get all of my ingredients out, or my little boys will eat all the chocolate chips before I get them in the cake. But there we go. So there's our layer, our secret layer. Okay. This was toffee bits. I'm so sorry. So there's 1/3 cup of toasted almonds, 1/3 cup of mini chocolate chips, and 1/3 cup of English toffee bits. If you want to use the chocolate covered ones, I'm not here to judge. Just go right ahead. Okay. All right. And so the filling, do you want me to go ahead with the filling? Sure. Okay. The filling, same bowl. You don't have to wash anything in between. You've got 8 ounces of softened cream cheese. And I must say, not that this is a low-fat or low-cal dessert, but I actually prefer the 1/3 less fat in this. I prefer the texture of the cream cheese. So you can use either. Neither are. It's not wrong to use the full fat, but I actually prefer the texture that it gives to it. So, all right. So in goes our lusciousness, and you're going to put these in here first and let them mix together. Then you're going to add your eggs one at a time.
While she's getting the eggs, let us know, how did you feel when you first found out that you were
That I'd won?
Yeah.
Well, I actually, shock and disbelief would be the, when I first found out, Anna Kate actually sent an email to me and said that I was a finalist. And I was thrilled. I couldn't believe that I was a finalist, and could I contact her? Because I don't believe I'd put a phone number on the website, or didn't have a phone, which I didn't realize I hadn't put a phone number. So I called and left my number with her, and she called me back the next day and said, Melissa, I told you a little bit of a fib in the email. You actually won the contest. And I said, what? Are you kidding me? I can't believe it. But I was delighted, of course. I mean, incredible.
Yeah, I remember that experience.
Yeah.
Kind of the same.
Shock and disbelief.
Are you sure? You had to pull over. Are you sure?
You said your kids, your family encouraged you to enter. What
Yes.
was their reaction?
They were, my children were, of course, just thrilled. They were like, way to go, Mama. And Rob, I guess he would have to tell you how he felt. I don't know. I guess he was proud.
Shock and disbelief. And a few pounds heavier.
Yeah, thank goodness he doesn't mind tasting my creations. But yeah, we're just so thrilled. I mean, it's sort of a humbling experience, honestly, because you feel like, you know, you cook these things. I know you all probably feel the same way. You put your heart and soul into something, and it's just when someone feeds back to you that I enjoyed it, or it made my day, or we enjoyed it for our Christmas dinner, it just means so much to me to know that you trusted my recipe enough to include it in a special family celebration, because that's what I'm all about. What is life without a family, you know?
And how about your first experience when you got your blue ribbon, your first blue ribbon? Tell us about that.
I was surprised then too. My nested skins were very well received on the site, and when I got the message that I'd gotten the blue ribbon for that, I was thrilled and immediately put it on my blog that I'd received this blue ribbon from Just a Pinch. I hope you got some members from that. But yeah, it was exciting too. It's just, you know, all of it is exciting to connect with people about something you love.
Yeah, especially when you have something in common, our love and passion for cooking. And I don't know if anybody knew, but she has a twin. You want to tell them a little bit about that?
Yes. My twin has shorter hair. But
We were separated at birth. I'll tell you, this is like a bonding experience.
yeah.
Over 40 years ago, we were separated.
39, I thought.
Yeah, it was
39.
39
years ago.
But she is such a spiritual, she has such a warm sweetheart.
Thank
and when
you,
I
Sherry.
first saw, it was her recipe, the nestled potatoes. And I said, oh my gosh, I have got to fix this for my family and friends for Thanksgiving. And I did, and they loved them.
Oh, wonderful.
And she's got some great recipes. I looked at all those recipes on her blog, so if you get a chance, y'all really need to look at that too.
I would yes, please come visit. And some of the recipes I do put on Just a Pinch. My blog is only for fun. I started it for fun. It's going to remain that way. Let me just tell you quickly what I'm doing. I have added my eggs one at a time to this caramel and cream cheese mixture, and I'm just stopping. You all are probably bakers, you know. You've got to stop and scrape the bowl once in a while to make sure it all fully incorporates properly. So that's all I'm doing now. And what I'm going to start doing, you all know that powdered sugar has a life of its own. It likes to fly around. So lower the speed of your mixer, because now you're going to add that. The other stick of melted butter goes in now also. And my vanilla, and it's a teaspoon of vanilla and 2 cups of powdered sugar. Again, this is not a diet dish. This is I always tell my friends that this cake is meant for sharing. And in fact, when I make this cake at home, my neighbors amazingly show up at my front door with empty plates, and they'll say, what's Melissa doing in there? And I always share this with my neighbors, absolutely every time I make it, because it's a very rich and decadent cake. So share it with someone you want to connect with. So I'm just adding my powdered sugar now, Sherry.
Okay.
You're adding 2 cups of powdered sugar or a box, whatever's easier for you. Sometimes I buy powdered sugar if I'm making cakes. Occasionally I'll make cakes for someone. And if I buy the large bags of powdered sugar, I know that 2 cups will work in this recipe. So if you don't want to buy a box and you have some loose powdered sugar, 2 cups will work. And we're coming to the close here. This is how easy this cake is. As soon as this fully incorporates, we'll pour it on and stick it in the oven and we're good to go. After I get all the powdered sugar in, I usually just let the machine do the work for a minute or 2. Is that what you had to do, Susan? Yeah. Couple minutes, that's exactly right. I think that's totally correct.
While you're enjoying your meal, Melissa's gonna finish up her gooey goodness.
Okay, folks, and you know always when you make a batter or anything, you always have to, before you pour it into your pan, go down and make sure everything's mixed in. Especially when you're working with this dulce de leche, because it likes to hang around the bottom of your dish and you want it all on there. So here we go. This is what sets this gooey apart. You just pour this evenly over the crust. It is thick, as you can see. And that's why I can't speak directly to a thinner caramel product. I know what this one will do. I don't know what that one would do, but you know what? I think that would be a great experiment. I mean, it just might have a bit of a different consistency and texture. Correct. That's right. And that's okay. You know, we're just cooking here. No one has to get too upset or uptight. I usually do this at home with an offset spatula, just because you can get down in there. And see, a few of my chocolate chips are coming up into the middle. That's fine. That's just an added bonus. Okay. So here we go, folks. Beautiful. It goes into the oven for 40 minutes. If your oven's a little slower, it might take 45. But the big thing with gooeys is you can ruin it in about 5 minutes. If you overcook it, I would rather you undercook it a bit than overcook it a bit, right? Because it's meant to jiggle when you get it out of the oven. When it comes out of the oven, if I had to say there was one thing I had against gooey butter cakes is they don't, they're not iced on top. They come out and they just look like what could be a bar, I suppose, if you wanted to look at it that way. So knowing that chocolate makes everything better, I just couldn't help myself but to make a chocolate glaze. And for this, I recommend about 1/2 cup of mini chocolate chips. Again, the others won't offend me if you want to use the larger ones. And a tablespoon or 2 of cream, whipping cream. Either one will work. Melt them in the microwave at 30-second increments. Get it out, stir it, stir it, stir it, because chocolate can scorch. So when you're doing that, do it in small and short increments. And then to plate this up, they did a beautiful job doing it. I usually use a fork, but I'm going to try to do it with this spoon. I just drizzle some over, like that, to give it a pretty presentation and to give you that warm, and I actually do like to serve this with the chocolate warm on top. Let the cake cool to room temperature and then serve it with this warm chocolate ganache, and people go crazy for it because that's the first thing that touches your tongue is that warm chocolate. And I've never met anyone that didn't like that. So we're going to pretend I did a beautiful job drizzling this with this spoon. And I love that they pipe the chocolate, the whipped cream, because I do the exact same thing at home. But you just want a dollop of whipped cream, which I've made. Serve it on the side. Serve it on the side like that. If you have some mint, you can go crazy if you want to. And then just a few little toffee bits, just to give them a little bit of a hint of what's inside and what's coming. Okay, so there you go. That's my caramel chocolate and almond gooey.
Well, I really want to thank everybody for coming, and when I have the next showcase, if you're able to come, please join us here. This is a lot of fun, and share your experience today with your family, friends, strangers. It doesn't matter. You see someone in the grocery store, let them know about Just a Pinch, and I'm not kidding you. I literally do that because people will see the ingredients that I have in my basket. I know it probably happens with you too. They says, "Oh my God, what are you cooking?" Then I go into this and they says, "Oh my gosh, where can I find that recipe?" Go to Just a Pinch. Well, we've only got like 1 minute, and I want to let Melissa say a few words before we end.
Oh, wow.
So, Melissa.
I guess if I had to say anything, you know, most people that cook every day are just like us. They're not millionaire chefs. They're cooking for their families with love and tailoring their dishes to their specific needs and specific tastes. So I think there's nothing better to do than to cook and share what you do, what you love, your passion about a particular flavor or a particular dish or even cuisine, to share that with others. I think that's what Just a Pinch is all about, and that's certainly how I feel the sense of community on the site. Is just share your heart. It's a bit scary to put yourself out there, I know, but you know, there's going to be, people will be drawn, like people are drawn to one another, and you'll make lots of friends and be able to share what your passion is, because we're all there to learn from each other.
We've got one more thing to award,
Yeah.
and Melissa gets her own
Chef hat.
Now don't mess up with the Do Girls.
Oh, no. That's right. The Southern girls got to have their due.
Absolutely.
Sorry, sister. Sorry.
Southern
There you
girls
go.
have high hair.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Chef for the day.